In the silent depths of space, a pattern emerges, a signal that shouldn't exist. Dr. Maya Johnson discovers something extraordinary, a message from beyond the stars. But when her groundbreaking research is sabotaged by a prominent scientist with dangerous connections, Maya must fight not just for her discovery, but for humanity's future. As corporate interests scramble to control first contact, Maya's methodical brilliance becomes Earth's greatest hope. From the observatory floor where her grandmother once cleaned to the United Nations Security Council chamber, Maya's journey proves that the most important messages will not be silenced. Will humanity unite to answer the stars? Or will greed and prejudice prevent us from joining the cosmic conversation? Like and comment below with what you would say in humanity's first message to an alien civilization. Remember to subscribe for more thought-provoking stories about breaking barriers and reaching for the stars. Maya Johnson stood alone in the dimly lit control room, staring at the monitor with unwavering focus. The radio telescope data scrolled across her screen, presenting a pattern that shouldn't exist. She'd been tracking this anomaly for 3 weeks now, careful to document every observation meticulously. Still here at 3 a.m., Dr. Johnson. Maya didn't need to turn around to recognize the voice of the night security guard, Hector. Just following the stars, Hector, she replied, taking a sip from her lukewarm coffee. Sometimes they only speak when everyone else is quiet. At 34, Dr. Maya Johnson had already established herself as one of the most methodical researchers at the Hawkins Radio Astronomy Center. She wasn't flashy or attention-seeking like some of her colleagues. Her grandmother had taught her that evidence speaks louder than rhetoric, a lesson learned from cleaning the offices at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory for 30 years. Grandma Rose may have mopped their floors, but she made sure I'd one day have my name on their doors, Maya often reminded herself during challenging moments. The monitor beeped again. There it was, the same 16-second burst of radio waves at precisely 115.3 gigahertz. Too organized to be natural, too persistent to be interference. Maya saved the data to her encrypted external drive, labeled it with the date and time, and made a handwritten note in her journal, a habit her colleagues found amusingly old-fashioned but one she maintained religiously. Digital records could be altered. Her grandmother's fountain pen on acid-free paper created a permanent record. I'm clocking out in 15, Dr. Johnson. You planning to stay much longer? Hector asked, concern evident in his voice. Just finishing up, Hector. I'll walk out with you. Once outside, Maya tilted her head toward the vast expanse above them. The New Mexico sky offered a clarity that still took her breath away after 7 years at the facility. Somewhere up there, something was sending signals, patterns with mathematical precision that couldn't be explained by known cosmic phenomena. At 7 a.m., Maya returned to the facility after a brief nap and shower at her modest home 10 minutes from the observatory. The morning shift was beginning, and she needed to secure computer time for her analysis before Dr. Walter Brennan monopolized the resources. Morning, Maya. Dr. Samantha Taylor nodded as they passed in the corridor. You look like you've seen a ghost or maybe an alien, she laughed at her own joke. Maya managed a smile. Just a long night of observation. How's your pulsar mapping coming along? Slow but steady. The conference deadline is approaching, though. You submitting anything this year? Before Maya could answer, Dr. Walter Brennan rounded the corner, his tall frame filling the narrow hallway. At 58, Brennan was an institution at Hawkins. His family had donated the land for the observatory, and his connections extended throughout the scientific community and government funding agencies. Ladies, he acknowledged them with barely a glance. Maya, is there a reason you've booked the primary analysis server for 6 hours today? Some of us have actual peer-reviewed research to complete. Maya straightened her posture. I've identified an anomalous signal pattern that requires detailed spectral analysis, Dr. Brennan. The preliminary findings suggest. Let me guess, Brennan interrupted. Another wild goose chase, like your structured reflections theory last year that turned out to be satellite interference. His lips curled into a smirk that never reached his eyes. That explanation was never conclusively proven, Maya replied evenly, and this pattern shows distinctly different characteristics. Brennan sighed dramatically. The facility exists to produce credible scientific research, not indulge fantasies. I need that server time. I've got the European Space Agency waiting on my findings. I booked it properly through the system, Maya stood her ground, and I have every right to conduct my research using the facility resources. We'll see about that, Brennan muttered, walking away. Some of us had to earn our positions here, not ride the diversity wave. Maya felt Samantha's hand on her arm. Don't let him get to you. He's been worse since the funding committee added you to the Deep Space Communications project instead of him. It's fine, Maya said, though her jaw remained tight. I've dealt with worse. Besides, I've got something here, Sam, something real. Back in her lab, Maya locked the door and pulled out her external drive. She wouldn't upload her findings to the main system yet, not until she had irrefutable evidence. Brennan had accidentally deleted her data before. As the analysis program began processing her observations, Maya opened her grandmother's journal, the one Rose Johnson had kept while working at JPL during the Voyager mission years. Inside the front cover was the faded photo of Rose standing beside the spacecraft before launch, mop in hand but pride in her eyes. Eyes on the stars, feet on the ground, Maya whispered her grandmother's mantra as the first results appeared on her screen. The pattern wasn't random, not even close. The mathematical sequence embedded in the signal showed prime number sequences that couldn't occur naturally. Maya's phone buzzed with an email notification. The observatory director had overridden her server reservation at Dr. Brennan's request. She calmly saved her work, encrypted the drive, and slipped it into her bag. This wasn't the first obstacle in her path, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. What mattered was the data, and the data was telling her something remarkable. Someone or something was reaching out from the stars, and Maya Johnson would be ready to answer, no matter who tried to stand in her way. 3 days after her discovery, Maya noticed the first signs of trouble. Her login credentials suddenly failed to access the spectral analysis software. The system administrator claimed it was a routine security update that had accidentally purged her access level. Should be fixed by tomorrow, he promised, not quite meeting her eyes. Maya nodded politely, but internally she was cataloging this incident alongside 2 other technical glitches that had occurred since Dr. Brennan discovered her working on the anomalous signal. The pattern was becoming clear. "Everything all right, Dr. Johnson?" asked Raj Patel, a postdoctoral researcher who often worked the same hours as Maya. "Just another system hiccup," she replied, gathering her notes. "Nothing I haven't dealt with before." Raj lowered his voice. "Brennan was in here earlier, spent about 20 minutes at your workstation." Maya's expression remained neutral, but she made a mental note. "Thanks for letting me know." That evening, Maya set up a basic surveillance app on her laptop, positioning it to record her workstation while she took a scheduled break. The app was nothing sophisticated, just enough to document any unauthorized access. When she returned from her break, the video confirmed her suspicions. Dr. Walter Brennan had spent precisely 8 minutes and 43 seconds at her computer, his fingers moving quickly across her keyboard. "Predictable," Maya muttered as she carefully documented the incident in her journal, noting the time stamp from the video. The next morning, Maya discovered that her observation time on the radio telescope had been reassigned to another project. The scheduling system showed the change had been authorized by Dr. Brennan, citing priority research needs. "This is becoming less subtle," Maya remarked to herself, photographing the schedule change with her phone. She made her way to the director's office, prepared with documentation of the recent incidents. "Dr. Stevens, I'd like to discuss some concerning patterns regarding my research access," Maya began, her voice steady. Director Stevens, a harried man in his 60s who primarily focused on securing funding rather than managing day-to-day operations, barely looked up from his computer. "Dr. Johnson, as I'm sure you understand, scheduling conflicts are inevitable in a facility of this size. Dr. Brennan has seniority and his current project has direct NSF funding. With respect, sir, this isn't about seniority. I've documented multiple instances of interference with my research." Maya placed her journal on his desk, including unauthorized access to my workstation. Stevens glanced at the journal, then at Maya's calm expression. "These are serious allegations, Dr. Johnson. I hope you understand the implications of suggesting that someone of Dr. Brennan's stature would engage in such behavior." The emphasis on someone of Dr. Brennan's stature wasn't lost on Maya. "I'm not suggesting anything, sir. I'm presenting documented evidence," Stevens sighed. "I'll look into it. In the meantime, perhaps focus on projects with more established scientific merit." As Maya left the office, she overheard Stevens on the phone. "Walter, we should talk about Dr. Johnson's project." That afternoon, Maya found her laboratory door unlocked despite having secured it earlier. Inside, nothing seemed immediately disturbed, but her intuition told her otherwise. She checked her backup drive, still in place, but something felt wrong. Running a quick diagnostic, Maya discovered several key data files had been modified. The timestamps showed changes made at 2:17 p.m. during the department meeting she had attended. "Amateur move, Walter," she whispered, retrieving her second backup from inside a hollowed-out astronomy textbook on her shelf, a hiding place inspired by her grandmother's stories about keeping her own private notes during her time at JPL. While examining the compromised files, Maya noticed something curious. Whoever had modified them hadn't simply deleted data, they had subtly altered the frequency patterns to make them appear more like random cosmic noise. This wasn't just sabotage, it was deliberate scientific falsification. That night, Maya worked from home, analyzing her original data. The signal pattern remained consistent, a 16-second burst occurring at precise intervals, containing mathematical sequences that defied natural explanation. Her phone buzzed with a text from Samantha. Brennan announced breakthrough on signal interpretation at today's board meeting, claiming its military satellite echo. Thought you should know. Maya stared at the message, a cold understanding settling over her. This wasn't just about academic rivalry or prejudice, though both clearly played a part. Brennan was actively attempting to discredit her discovery before she could properly document it. She began typing an email to Dr. Eliza Chen, an independent researcher she had collaborated with during her postdoc work. She needed external verification from someone outside Brennan's sphere of influence. As Maya attached her original data files, encrypted with a password only she and Eliza would understand, her doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw a man in a dark suit holding what appeared to be government credentials. Dr. Maya Johnson, his voice came through the door. I'm Agent Thomas Rivera with the National Security Agency. We need to discuss your recent astronomical observations. Maya took a deep breath, hit send on the email, and opened the door. Maya invited Agent Rivera into her living room, maintaining a composed demeanor despite her racing thoughts. The NSA agent declined her offer of coffee, getting straight to business. Dr. Johnson, our Signals Intelligence Division has detected your repeated access to certain frequency bands that overlap with classified communications channels, Rivera explained, his expression neutral but watchful. Maya chose her words carefully. I'm an astrophysicist studying radio emissions from deep space. Any overlap with terrestrial frequencies would be coincidental. Perhaps, Rivera conceded, but the pattern recognition algorithms you've been developing have triggered several security protocols. He placed a tablet on the coffee table between them, displaying a security clearance form. Before we continue this conversation, I need you to sign this non-disclosure agreement. Maya read through the document meticulously, noting the severe penalties for unauthorized disclosure. This wasn't standard procedure for addressing academic research conflicts. What exactly is this about, Agent Rivera? She asked, pen hovering over the signature line. Sign first, then we talk, he replied evenly. Once Maya had signed, Rivera's demeanor shifted subtly. Dr. Johnson, we've been monitoring the signal you discovered for approximately 3 months. Your detection methods were impressive, more efficient than our own specialized systems. Maya processed this information, connecting the dots. So the signal is real and not from a military satellite as Dr. Brennan is claiming. Rivera's expression tightened. Dr. Brennan has no authorization to access or classify this information. His assertion is both incorrect and potentially compromising to national security. Then why is he interfering with my research? Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. That's what we'd like to understand. Rivera pulled out a small device and swept the room for listening devices. Satisfied, he continued. We believe Dr. Brennan may have connections to private aerospace interests that would benefit from accessing your detection methodology. Maya leaned back, absorbing this revelation. So this isn't just about academic rivalry or, she hesitated, racial prejudice, Rivera finished bluntly. Perhaps that's his personal motivation, but there are larger forces at play. Your signal detection algorithm has applications beyond astronomy. Maya thought about her grandmother, who had witnessed classified aerospace developments while mopping floors at JPL, sworn to secrecy about what she observed. What happens now? She asked. We need you to continue your research, but under our supervision. The signal you've detected. Rivera paused, seeming to weigh his next words carefully. It has characteristics that cannot be explained by any known terrestrial technology. Maya's pulse quickened. You're suggesting it's of non-Earth origin. I'm not authorized to make that determination, Rivera replied diplomatically. But we need someone with your expertise to help us understand what we're dealing with. The next morning, Maya returned to the observatory with a renewed sense of purpose and a small NSA-provided device in her bag that would alert her to any tampering with her equipment. As she entered the facility, she immediately noticed Brennan holding court with several junior researchers in the main hallway. He fell silent as she approached. Dr. Johnson, he acknowledged with artificial politeness. I was just explaining to the team about the satellite echo phenomenon that explains your unusual readings. How fascinating, Maya replied with equal artifice. I'd love to review your analysis. Perhaps we could compare methodologies this afternoon. Brennan's smile faltered momentarily. Unfortunately, some aspects of my findings are under security restrictions. I'm sure you understand. Completely, Maya nodded. Security protocols are essential when dealing with sensitive discoveries. The implied message wasn't lost on Brennan, whose eyes narrowed slightly before he excused himself. In her lab, Maya found her computer had been completely reset to factory settings, another transparent attempt to impede her work. She simply connected her backup drive and continued her analysis, now supplemented with additional data provided by Rivera. The signal pattern revealed itself more clearly with each processing iteration. The mathematical sequence embedded within the radio bursts followed an unmistakable pattern of prime numbers, followed by what appeared to be spatial coordinates. Maya sat back, all washing over her as the implications became undeniable. This wasn't random cosmic noise. It wasn't satellite interference, it was a message. As she documented her findings, a knock at her door interrupted her concentration. Director Stevens entered, looking uncomfortable. "Dr. Johnson, there's been a complaint about unauthorized use of facility resources," he began, not meeting her eyes. "By whom?" Maya asked calmly. "That's not important," Stevens replied, though they both knew Brennan was behind it. "What matters is that your project is creating disruption within the team. Perhaps a leave of absence would be beneficial while we sort this out." Maya regarded him steadily. "Director Stevens, I'd like to introduce you to someone first." On cue, Agent Rivera stepped into the office, displaying his credentials. "Director Stevens," Rivera nodded, "I'm Agent Rivera with the National Security Agency. Dr. Johnson's research has been classified as priority level alpha under direct NSA supervision. Any interference with her work will be investigated as a matter of national security." Stevens' face drained of color. I wasn't aware." "You weren't meant to be," Rivera cut him off. "Now perhaps you could explain why Dr. Johnson's research materials have been repeatedly tampered with under your administration." As Stevens stammered through an explanation, Maya returned to her data, a small smile playing at the corner of her lips. The message from the stars was finally being heard, and no one would silence it again. Maya followed Agent Rivera through a series of security checkpoints deep beneath an unmarked building 30 miles from the observatory. After surrendering her phone and passing through 3 biometric verification stations, she entered a facility unlike anything she had anticipated. The underground complex housed what appeared to be a miniature version of the Very Large Array, a network of radio telescopes specifically calibrated to monitor deep space on frequencies not typically used in conventional astronomy. "Welcome to Project Echo," a woman in her 50s greeted them, her military bearing evident despite her civilian clothes. "I'm Dr. Samantha Chen, Program Director. Dr. Chen's background is in quantum communications and xenolinguistics," Rivera explained. "She's been overseeing our response to the signal patterns since they were first detected." Maya absorbed this information while scanning the impressive array of technology surrounding them. "How long have you been monitoring these transmissions?" "The first verifiable pattern was detected 16 months ago," Chen replied, leading them toward a central monitoring station. "But it wasn't until your algorithm identified the mathematical sequence that we confirmed it wasn't a natural phenomenon." Maya processed this revelation. "You've been watching my research. We monitor all promising detection methodologies in the field," Chen acknowledged without apology. "Your approach to isolating signal patterns from background noise was particularly innovative." At the main console, Chen brought up a visualization that matched what Maya had documented, the distinctive 16-second burst pattern occurring at precisely calculated intervals. "What you don't know," Chen continued, "is that we've detected identical signal patterns from 3 separate points in deep space, creating a triangulation effect." Maya studied the spatial coordinates displayed on the screen. "They're communicating with each other, not just broadcasting outward." "Precisely," Chen nodded approvingly, "and now they appear to be communicating with us." Rivera interjected. "This is where we need your expertise, Dr. Johnson. Your detection algorithm somehow attracted their attention." Maya's mind raced with implications. "My algorithm wasn't just detecting the signal, it was inadvertently responding to it." "Creating a feedback loop," Chen confirmed. "The entities behind these transmissions noticed your response and have adjusted their broadcast parameters accordingly." "And Brennan?" Maya asked, connecting the dots. "How does he fit into this?" Chen exchanged a glance with Rivera before responding. "Dr. Brennan submitted a paper 3 years ago theorizing communication methods with non-terrestrial intelligence. His approach was methodologically flawed and rejected by the scientific community. But he recognized your algorithm's potential when he saw your early results," Rivera added. "He appears to have been attempting to discredit your findings publicly while privately trying to appropriate your methodology." "There's more," Chen said, sliding a tablet toward Maya. "Dr. Brennan has connections to Helios Aerospace, a private company with significant interest in first contact protocols." The tablet displayed financial transactions and communications between Brennan and Helios executives. "They want to control the conversation," Maya realized, "privatizing first contact." "Exactly," Chen confirmed, "which is why we needed to bring you in before your discovery became public in a way we couldn't contain." A technician approached with urgency. "Dr. Chen, we're receiving a new transmission pattern. It appears to be responding directly to Dr. Johnson's algorithm." On the main screen, a new signal visualization appeared, a mathematical sequence that built upon the pattern Maya had identified, but with additional complexity that suggested a response to her detection method. "They're acknowledging us," Maya whispered, awe evident in her voice. "Not us," Chen corrected. "You specifically. Your algorithm created a unique response signature that they've recognized and isolated." Maya turned to face Chen directly. "What happens now?" "Now," Chen replied, "you join Project Echo officially. We need to establish a communication protocol based on your algorithm, and we need to do it quickly before private interests like Helios can interfere." "And Dr. Brennan will be handled appropriately," Rivera assured her. "His security clearance is already under review." As if on cue, a new face entered the control room: James Wilson, former NASA astronaut and the first human to walk on Mars. "Dr. Johnson," Wilson extended his hand, "your grandmother would be incredibly proud. Rose always said humanity's future was in the stars." Maya looked at him in surprise. "You knew my grandmother?" Wilson smiled warmly. "Rose Johnson kept the cleanest lab at JPL, but she also had the sharpest mind. She noticed a calculation error in our Mars descent trajectory that everyone else missed, said she saw it while dusting the whiteboard." He paused. "She never received public credit, but those of us who made it back safely never forgot." Maya felt a surge of emotion as another piece of her grandmother's legacy fell into place. "We have a lot to do," Chen interjected gently. "The signal frequency is increasing, suggesting escalating attempts at communication." Maya nodded, composing herself. "I'll need access to my original algorithm and the raw data from all three signal sources." "You'll have everything you need," Chen assured her. "Welcome to the team, Dr. Johnson." As Maya settled at her new workstation, surrounded by technology specifically designed for the purpose she had inadvertently pioneered, she couldn't help but feel her grandmother's presence. Rose Johnson had cleaned the offices of those who looked to the stars. Now her granddaughter would be the one to answer when the stars called back. Dr. Walter Brennan strode through the observatory's main corridor with purpose, a team of Helios aerospace security personnel flanking him. Their presence had raised eyebrows among the research staff, but Brennan's family name on the building granted him privileges few would question. "Dr. Johnson's laboratory," he instructed, pointing down the east hallway. "Her access needs to be terminated immediately." The security team moved efficiently, overriding the electronic lock on Maya's lab door. Inside, they found the space meticulously organized but notably empty of any recent research materials. "Where is everything?" Brennan demanded, scanning the room. "Her drives, her notes, where are they?" Director Stevens appeared in the doorway, his normally deferential demeanor replaced with unexpected resolve. "Dr. Brennan, I need to speak with you privately," Stevens said, nodding toward the security personnel. "Without your guests." Brennan waved the security team into the hallway and turned to Stevens with barely concealed impatience. "What is it, Richard? I'm handling a serious breach of research protocols." "That's precisely what I need to discuss," Stevens replied, closing the door. "I received a visit from federal authorities this morning. They've initiated an investigation into unauthorized access of classified research." Brennan's expression hardened. "What does this have to do with Johnson's work?" "Everything, apparently," Stevens said. "Her signal analysis has been classified at the highest level. And there are serious questions about your interference with her research." "Interference?" Brennan scoffed. "I was protecting this institution from pseudoscientific nonsense that would damage our reputation." "The NSA seems to disagree with your assessment," Stevens countered, gaining confidence. "They've provided evidence that you've repeatedly accessed her computer, modified her data, and attempted to discredit legitimate findings." "The NSA." Brennan's voice faltered momentarily before he recovered. "This is absurd. Johnson's playing some kind of race card, trying to blame her failures on discrimination rather than her own incompetence." Stevens pulled out his tablet, displaying security footage that clearly showed Brennan accessing Maya's workstation on multiple occasions. "The observatory's security system automatically backs up to an off-site server," Stevens explained. "One that you apparently didn't know about." Brennan's face flushed with anger. "Whatever Johnson claims she's found is a misinterpretation. I've studied these signal patterns for years." "Yes, we know," Stevens interrupted. "Your rejected paper on extraterrestrial communication protocols. The authorities were quite interested in your subsequent connection to Helios Aerospace after that rejection." Brennan fell silent, calculating his options. "Your security clearance has been suspended pending investigation," Stevens continued, "and the board has been notified of potential ethical violations." "You can't do this to me," Brennan's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "My family built this place. One call to the board chairman would be inadvisable." A new voice interrupted as Agent Rivera entered the laboratory, accompanied by two additional agents. Dr. Walter Brennan, we need you to come with us for questioning regarding unauthorized access to classified information and potential corporate espionage. Brennan looked from Rivera to Stevens, then to the security team he had brought with him, who now stood awkwardly in the hallway under the watchful eyes of federal agents. This is a misunderstanding, Brennan insisted, his composure cracking. Johnson's research is fundamentally flawed. I was protecting our institution's reputation. By selling her methodology to Helios Aerospace, Rivera asked pointedly, we have the transfer records, Dr. Brennan, and your communications with their executive team. Brennan's shoulders sagged as the reality of his situation became clear. I want my lawyer. Absolutely, Rivera agreed. You'll need one. As the agents escorted Brennan from the building, Maya emerged from the director's office where she had been monitoring the confrontation via security feed alongside Dr. Chen and James Wilson. Do you think he was acting alone? Maya asked, watching Brennan's diminishing figure on the monitor. Unlikely, Chen replied. The technical resources required to monitor your specific research suggest organizational backing. Helios wants to control first contact protocols for commercial applications. Wilson shook his head. The commercialization of everything, even this. Director Stevens approached, looking both relieved and apprehensive. Dr. Johnson, I owe you an apology. I should have taken your concerns seriously from the beginning. You did what most people do when faced with power and privilege, Maya replied without rancor, but now you have an opportunity to make it right. The observatory's resources are at your disposal, Stevens assured her. Whatever you need for your research. My research has moved elsewhere, Maya informed him, but the observatory can still play a role in what's coming. Coming, Stevens repeated nervously. The first verified communication with a non-terrestrial intelligence, Wilson explained. Dr. Johnson's algorithm has established a dialogue that's evolving by the hour. Stevens looked stunned. My God. Indeed, Maya nodded. Now, if you'll excuse us, we need to prepare for a meeting with the UN Security Council. Humanity needs to present a unified response, not a corporate one. As they departed, Maya took one last look at the observatory where her journey had begun, where prejudice and sabotage had nearly silenced one of the most significant discoveries in human history. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. They might not want to hear what you have to say, Maya, but that doesn't mean you should stop speaking. The truth has its own power. And now the truth was speaking from across the stars, waiting for humanity's answer. The United Nations Security Council chamber buzzed with tension as Maya prepared to present her findings. Representatives from 15 nations sat in a semicircle, their expressions ranging from skepticism to barely concealed excitement. Behind the main delegation, scientists and military officials from various countries whispered among themselves. Dr. Johnson, you may proceed, announced the Security Council president, a distinguished diplomat from Ghana. Maya activated her presentation, and the chamber darkened as a three-dimensional holographic representation of the signal pattern appeared above the central table. What you're seeing is a non-random, mathematically structured communication sequence originating from three distinct points approximately 37 light-years from Earth, Maya began, her voice steady. The pattern contains embedded prime number sequences followed by what we've identified as spatial coordinates. The Chinese representative leaned forward. And you're certain this isn't terrestrial in origin, perhaps a classified military project from another nation. The signal originates from beyond our solar system, Maya confirmed. We've verified this through multiple independent tracking methods. Furthermore, the power required to transmit such a signal across that distance exceeds our current technological capabilities by several orders of magnitude. The Russian delegate's expression remained skeptical. Yet you claim to have established communication with this entity? Not exactly, Maya clarified. My algorithm detected the pattern and in analyzing it, inadvertently created a response signature. The entities appeared to recognize this response and adjusted their transmission accordingly. Dr. Chen stepped forward. We've verified Dr. Johnson's findings through Project Echo, a classified multi-agency initiative established precisely to investigate such phenomena. And why are we only hearing about this Project Echo now? Demanded the French representative. Security protocols, Agent Rivera explained from his position near the wall, which were nearly compromised by unauthorized corporate interests. At this cue, a series of documents appeared on the delegates' screens, financial transactions, communications, and security footage detailing Walter Brennan's attempts to sabotage Maya's research while funneling information to Helios Aerospace. Dr. Brennan has been charged with espionage, obstruction of justice, and violation of national security protocols, Rivera continued. His interrogation has revealed a coordinated attempt by private interests to control first contact protocols for commercial exploitation. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the delegates. This isn't merely a scientific discovery, Maya stated, reclaiming the floor. It represents a pivotal moment in human history, one that should belong to all humanity, not corporate interests seeking to monetize first contact. The British representative adjusted his glasses. Dr. Johnson, your credentials are impressive, but you must understand our caution. The verification process for such an extraordinary claim has already been completed, interrupted James Wilson, stepping forward. As the head of NASA's Exobiology Division, I can confirm that independent verification has been conducted by scientific teams from NASA, ESA, and CNSA. Wilson nodded to technicians who displayed new data on the screens. These are the verification results from all three agencies, confirming Dr. Johnson's findings with 99.7% confidence. Maya observed the shift in the room as skepticism gradually gave way to acceptance. This was the moment her grandmother had prepared her for, standing firm in the face of doubt, letting evidence speak louder than prejudice. What exactly do these entities want from us? Asked the American representative, finally addressing the question everyone had been avoiding. That's what we're working to understand, Maya replied honestly. The mathematical nature of their communication suggests they're attempting to establish a common language framework before proceeding to more complex exchange. And if their intentions are hostile, the Russian delegate pressed. A civilization capable of this level of communication could have decimated us without warning if that were their intent, Maya pointed out. The effort to establish communication suggests more diplomatic motives. Dr. Chen added, we believe they're extending an invitation, not a threat. The Security Council president surveyed the room. It seems we must formulate a unified human response to this invitation. Dr. Johnson, given your central role in this discovery, the Council would value your participation in drafting this response. Maya nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. I would be honored to serve in that capacity. As the meeting concluded, delegates surrounded Maya with questions and congratulations. Through the crowd, she noticed Director Stevens approaching with an unfamiliar woman in a business suit. Dr. Johnson, Stevens began awkwardly, this is Catherine Brennan, Walter's sister and the chairperson of our observatory's board. Maya tensed, preparing for confrontation. Dr. Johnson, Catherine extended her hand. I wanted to personally apologize for my brother's actions. His behavior reflects neither our family's values nor the scientific principles our institution was founded upon. Maya accepted the handshake, surprised by the sincerity in Catherine's voice. The board has unanimously voted to establish the Rose Johnson Fellowship for Xenocommunication, Catherine continued. A fully funded research position named after your grandmother, who we understand was an unrecognized contributor to space science. Maya felt a surge of emotion at this unexpected vindication of her grandmother's legacy. Thank you, she managed, thinking of Rose Johnson cleaning floors while quietly correcting the calculations of scientists who never acknowledged her brilliance. As the delegates dispersed, Maya found herself standing with Rivera, Chen, and Wilson, the unlikely team that had helped bring humanity to the brink of its greatest discovery. What happens now? She asked them. Now, Chen replied with a smile, we answer back. Maya stood at the central console of Project Echo's command center, surrounded by a newly assembled international team of linguists, mathematicians, physicists, and diplomats. The culmination of 3 weeks of intensive preparation had led to this moment, humanity's first deliberate response to the non-terrestrial signal. Final systems check complete, announced the technical lead, a quantum communications specialist from Japan. Transmission array is aligned to all 3 signal origin points simultaneously. Maya nodded, reviewing the response sequence displayed on her monitor. The message was elegant in its mathematical simplicity, a reply built upon the same prime number foundation as the original signal, but incorporating Earth-specific astronomical coordinates and basic atomic structures unique to our solar system. Dr. Johnson, Dr. Chen addressed her formally, as the lead architect of the First Contact Protocol, would you like to initiate the transmission? Maya glanced at the official UN observers standing at the back of the room, then at James Wilson, who gave her an encouraging nod. Before we proceed, Maya said, addressing the assembled team, I want to acknowledge that this moment belongs to all of humanity. The message we're sending represents not just scientific achievement but our collective identity as a species. She pressed her palm against the biometric scanner, authorizing the transmission sequence. Initiating First Contact Protocol, she announced as the powerful transmitters powered up, directing Earth's response toward the distant stars. The room fell silent as everyone watched the transmission indicators climb to full power. Maya thought of her grandmother, who had cleaned the offices of scientists without recognition while contributing insights they never acknowledged. Rose Johnson wouldn't live to see this moment, but her legacy had made it possible. Transmission complete, the technical lead confirmed. Message successfully deployed to all three target coordinates. Dr. Chen approached with a tablet displaying the initial media response. News organizations worldwide were reporting on the First Contact initiative, with Maya's name and image featured prominently. You've become the face of this historic moment, Chen observed. How does it feel? Surreal, Maya admitted. 3 months ago, I was fighting just to have my research taken seriously. And now you're leading humanity's first conversation with extraterrestrial intelligence, Wilson added, joining them. It's quite a journey. The command center's alert system chimed, drawing everyone's attention to the main monitoring station. We're detecting a response, announced the signal analyst, her voice rising with excitement. Incoming transmission on all three channels, significantly stronger than previous signals. The visualization materialized on the main screen, a complex pattern that built upon Maya's response but expanded it exponentially, incorporating new mathematical constructs and what appeared to be atomic representations of elements not found on Earth. They were waiting for us to answer, Maya realized, studying the pattern. This isn't a delayed response, it's immediate. They've been monitoring continuously. The linguistic team hurried to their workstations, beginning the analysis of this new, more complex communication. Dr. Johnson called the UN Secretary General, who had arrived for the transmission. What does this mean? Maya studied the evolving pattern, recognizing the mathematical foundations but marveling at the elegant complexity built upon them. It means they're inviting us into a conversation, she explained. Mathematical complexity suggests they're gradually introducing concepts beyond our current scientific understanding, but in a way designed to be decipherable. How long until we can establish meaningful communication? The Secretary General asked. That depends on how you define meaningful, Maya replied. We're already communicating through mathematics, the universal language, but if you're asking when we'll exchange abstract concepts or cultural information. She considered carefully. Months, perhaps years of progressive dialogue. As the analysis continued, Maya received a notification on her secure tablet. Walter Brennan had pleaded guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. The Helios Aerospace executives implicated in his testimony were facing international sanctions for attempting to privatize First Contact. A small measure of justice, Maya thought, though her focus remained on the greater discovery. 3 months later, Maya stood before an auditorium of elementary school students in her grandmother's hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi. The children looked up at her with wide-eyed wonder as she explained how mathematics had become humanity's first bridge to the stars. The beings we're communicating with have begun sharing scientific concepts that are helping us understand the universe in new ways, she told them. They've already helped us improve our energy production methods and develop more efficient space travel technologies. A small girl in the front row raised her hand. Dr. Johnson, are they coming to visit Earth? Maya smiled. Not anytime soon. They're very far away, so far that our messages take years to reach them, even traveling at the speed of light. But they've shared information about their world with us through mathematical and scientific imagery. Are they scary? Asked another child. Different but not scary, Maya explained. They see the universe through mathematics and patterns just as we do. That's how we found our common language. After the presentation, Maya visited her grandmother's grave, placing a small crystal replica of the first signal pattern beside the headstone. We did it, Grandma, she said quietly. They're listening to us now. Back at Project Echo, the international team had expanded to include representatives from 87 nations. The communication protocols Maya had established formed the foundation of humanity's ongoing dialogue with the stars. Dr. Chen greeted Maya as she returned to the command center. The Security Council has approved your proposal for the Global Education Initiative. Children worldwide will learn the mathematical language we're developing. Good, Maya nodded. This knowledge shouldn't be restricted to a privileged few. On the main screen, a new transmission was being decoded, the most complex yet, containing what the analysis team believed might be representations of the entities themselves and their social structures. They're sharing their story with us, Wilson observed, studying the patterns. And we're sharing ours with them, Maya added, thinking of how far she had come from the isolated researcher fighting to have her voice heard. The signal that had almost been silenced by prejudice and corporate greed now represented humanity's greatest adventure, a conversation between worlds that would forever change both participants. Maya Johnson, once dismissed and undermined, now stood at the center of humanity's first steps into a larger universe, proving that sometimes, the most important voices are the ones others try hardest to silence.